What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. It's been quite a while since I've picked up a camera and recorded anything. It is right at the 2.5 month mark since I moved out of the garage that you guys would have seen in the last video. Now, as you can also see, I'm standing in the new space. Now, I say new space because this isn't exactly a new space to me, and that's exactly what we're going to be going over in this video, as well as going over where the Genesis Coupe is, because clearly it is not in the garage here with me today. Now, before I get too far into this video, I just want to take a second to point out that not every area in this space is going to be as nicely lit as it will be going forward, especially in this garage. There's actually only one light bulb in this garage, and that's right above me, but I did put some temporary LED strips on the wall in front of me just so I could try and shoot this. So hopefully the lighting isn't too terrible right now. I'm trying to do the best that I can, but like I said, going forward, I will have some better lighting in all of the areas that we're going to go over here today. Another thing to note is there might be a little bit of an echo in this garage because it's essentially empty at the moment. There's a concrete wall over on that side. So hopefully that I'm doing a decent enough job to moderate my voice levels. You can still hear me, but it's not a crazy echo. So with those two things, just bear with me on this video. I will get them solved, hopefully going forward. I should probably also take a few seconds here and explain why I'm calling this the new space. And that's simply because this is the garage and basement at my mother's house. Now, how this whole thing kind of evolved to me moving my stuff here is that essentially I was just talking to her randomly one day, telling her how I was unhappy with the situation at the old garage and how I was trying to find another place to rent. Now, after a couple of months of me not being able to find anything to rent, she one day said to me, hey, if you want to get a dumpster, demo and clean out the garage in the basement, you should have more than enough space to store all of your stuff as well as work on your car in the garage. Now, let me tell you, there was a bunch of stuff in this garage and in the back room that needs to be demoed and cleared out, but we did just that, and that's what we've been doing for the last few weeks. But that is going to be the quick summary of how this whole thing all evolved. Now, although this isn't going to be the most ideal setup, it's kind of broken up into a bunch of small different areas that you'll see in this video. I must say that I am a lot happier and more relieved that I'm no longer dealing with that situation at the old garage. Another thing to note is this is a heck of a lot closer and a way better commute from my house than driving all the way up to Salem was. So all in all, this is a much better scenario, and I'm much happier with this moving forward. For an update on the Genesis Coupe, it's honestly quite simple. It's sitting in the driveway right outside the doors right there, and that's exactly where it's been sitting for the last 2.5 months since I drove it here. Now, unfortunately, it is currently snowing outside, so that's why I'm still standing in the garage talking about the Genesis Coupe, not going outside and actually looking at it. As you can also probably tell from the thumbnail of this video, it did snow a few times before I was able to take the Baz rays off the Genesis Coupe. Now, in all honesty, the rose gold powder coating on those lips is pretty much the only thing that I was actually concerned or worried about sitting outside in the snow and becoming tarnished. Now, luckily, both times it did snow on the Baz rays, it was 45 degrees out the next day, so the snow was melted off in less than 24 hours each time. Then, in the beginning of February, we got a 2-week stretch that was like 50+ degrees out every day. So I went outside on one of those days and was able to jack the car up, take the Baz rays off, throw my stocks on the rear and my donuts on the front, clean the Baz rays up and put them in storage in the back room. As for the carbon fiber hood and trunk, those are still on the car. Originally, I was trying to figure out some way to temporarily protect them with like a wrap or something like that, but since they already got snowed on almost immediately, I figured that was kind of pointless. Now, in all honesty, I'm not really 100% worried about those becoming damaged because 2 years ago, I did get them re-clear coated, so as long as the shop did a good enough job on that, a few months outside during the winter isn't going to do them any harm. Now, one small preventative measure I have been taking just to ensure nothing happens to those is any day that's like decently nice outside, I'll go outside with some detail spray and just wipe down the hood and the trunk, so that way if anything does fall on them, it doesn't get stuck to them and potentially stains them going forward. Now, as far as the wrap goes, or the body of the car, that wrap is coming off the car as soon as it comes in here. So I don't really care if anything happens to that, and all the wrap is doing right now is protecting the body of the car. And that is pretty much the simple, short summary of what's been going on with the Genesis Coupe for the last 2.5 months. Now that all of that talking is out of the way and you've been updated on everything, now it's time to walk through this new space and go over all the different areas that we have down here. Moving right along to a quick walkthrough of all the areas down here, we're obviously going to be starting in the garage where we've been up until this entire point. Now, as you can also see up here, we got one LED light bulb that is up in the ceiling that I was mentioning earlier, and those are clearly the 2 LED strips that I just temporarily zip tied to the wall so I could film the beginning half of this video. Now, as you can also tell from this garage, it's pretty dang small. It's only about 130 inches side to side and about 260 inches front to back, so it is pretty small. Now also you can see I got stuff pretty much everywhere because there are still a few projects that I want to do in here before I move the Genesis Coupe in here, which is exactly why the Genesis Coupe is not in here, but more on that after. Let's just continue the walkthrough through this door into the little workshop area right here. Now once again, this is a room that has terrible lighting. It's just the same single LED bulb in the ceiling, but those LED strips going to be going in not only this garage, they're also going to be going in this workshop area right here. So both of these rooms are going to be super nice, super bright with crisp white lighting here shortly. So now obviously we got the giant 8-foot workbench right there, as well as the 2 toolboxes right there. Now continuing along this way, through this doorway, we get to the third area. This little alcove, this is what I'm going to be calling like the clean workshop area, and I'll get into that in just a second. Now, as you can also see, this is part of my collection of spare Genesis Coupe parts that have come to my mother's house for probably over half a decade now and have had nowhere to live and just come here to die and just be forgotten about. There's my OEM hood with my color from 2015. Now, moving right along to the fourth room, geez, can't count. This is the back room, what it's been called our entire lives. And this is a room that needed the most amount of space cleared out and demoed. Now, long story short, before my father passed away about 24 years ago, this is where he kept all of his stuff, his tools, his materials, and everything like that from his construction company. And there was all upper cabinets over there, workbenches, lower cabinets, metal filing cabinets, old tools, old materials just left over from jobs and stuff that has been pretty much untouched for 2.5 decades. Now, also on top of that, there was just a bunch of junk in here that honestly, when my mother or we didn't know what to do with, it just kind of came down here to be put away and forgotten about. And that's what basically took the longest amount of time over the last few weeks and months trying to clean this stuff out. Once it was cleaned up, simply threw some LED light bulbs in here so it's nice and bright. Threw my racks up, try to get this place as organized as possible, and trying also organize all the other spare parts that I have for the Genesis Coupe that I've forgotten about over the years. I mean, this is still an OEM metal trunk. That's a carbon fiber trunk that was on the car when it got rear-ended back in July of 2017. Those are my Spec tape lights that we took off in the last couple of videos. We got some trunk wings, a strut bar. We just got a bunch of stuff here. I got spare Baz Ray faces. As you can see, I got way too many spare parts. This is where they've been coming to die for years now, and now I finally at least have them organized. Once again, stack of Baz Rays, nice protected, out of the way, out of the winter. Those are good. Now, last up, this room is the only room that's really done because I put the pegboard up a few weeks ago now, got that thing nice and organized, little desk if I have to, and these are a quick look at the LED light strips that I'm going to be putting in both those 2 rooms over there. Now to quickly cover why I'm going to be calling this little alcove the clean workshop room versus the dirty workshop room over there, that is simply because this area of the garage, or basement I should say, is actually climate controlled. So everything from that door this way is all climate controlled. So anytime I'm needing to do something that's going to be clean, like putting down fiberglass or resin or body filler or something like that, that's what we're going to do in here because that stuff needs temperature controlled. Then once that is dry and no longer needs to be temperature controlled, then we're going to start making a mess. We'll come in here, we'll have nice bright LED light strips everywhere, and we'll be able to work on everything in here, make a mess, keep the mess out of the finished basement area, and once again, out of the area of the Genesis Coupe as well. And that's why we're gonna be doing most of the stuff in here. Now, obviously, this room also needs a bunch of stuff done. We got a giant hole in the wall right there because this giant mirror used to be over there. When I took that off, I had no idea there was a hole in the wall, so I'm gonna have to repanel this whole back wall, but that'll be nice and easy. No big deal at all. So stepping back into the garage, a couple of things we need to do here, or at least I want to do. First and foremost, this yellow has got to go. I don't know why this was painted this color. This was painted this color before my mother and father even bought this house. Way back in the day, like 35 plus years ago, whatever it's been now. So why this was a thing back in the 80s and stuff like that, I have no idea, but that yellow needs to go. There was also cabinets up along this back wall. That was the first thing I demoed and one of the reasons I had to get the dumpster as well. But unfortunately, once I took those cabinets out of the way, I discovered this plywood was up on that wall, on that framing. Now that framing is not attached to the drywall or studs behind it. So once the cabinets were out of the way, the whole wall just started to lean forward. So I quickly took those off just so that nothing actually fell off the wall. But that wooden framework over there is gonna be coming down, as well as that drywall, because it's all crumbly. As you can see, the whole bottom of it is missing, and it's simply sitting over there. So we're gonna be taking all of that stuff off the wall to the studs, probably putting up some sort of plastic sheeting over the insulation just so it's kind of contained in the wall, because obviously that's like older style insulation. Newer style has like, or usually for houses at least, has the plastic or paper backing on it. And then all of this wood that's on this wall is actually going to be coming down as well, because once again, the drywall behind it is all crumbling, as you can see there. Then once this wood is down, I'm going to cut it to length, put on this back wall, and then I'm going to get new plywood, which is the start of it right here, and repanel this entire wall going forward. And then finally, we'll be able to do some LED light strips in here, and everything in here will be nice, bright, fresh coat of paint everywhere. And we'll also have maybe a little wall area to kind of put up some like decorations or something like that. Now, another quick thing you might be kind of noticing here is that everything isn't really ideally set up, whereas the workbench and the toolboxes are in one room and the car is going to be in the other room. But unfortunately, because this garage is so shallow front to back, with the car being in here, I would have to have it probably like 12 inches off of this garage door to actually have the toolboxes in the back wall and have enough space to open up the drawer and then still be able to kind of walk around the car. So I figured, although I'm having the toolboxes in what's going to be the dirty area, at least that's going to be more convenient to working on stuff on the workbench, as well as being more convenient to come in here, get stuff out of the toolbox, to come back into the garage and work on it, versus having the toolboxes buried in the corner behind the car, having to kind of shimmy your way around here. So once again, this isn't a very wide car, as well as my car is super wide. So it'd be just a little bit more inconvenient to have stuff way back there, to go all the way around the car, to come back through here to be able to use the tools at the workbench. So that's what I was talking about earlier, where I said this isn't really the most ideal setup, but I think the way I'm kind of have stuff laid around is going to be the best flow of stuff, if you will. But yeah, so if you're wondering why the toolboxes are in there, but the car is going to be in here, that's exactly why. I still might try to move this area around, but unfortunately that workbench is really big, bigger than any wall in this whole area, so I don't really have many options. I was thinking maybe take these toolboxes, put them up there, up against that wall, then take the workbench, kind of lay it here, so it's going to be right centered in the room under the lights. Then those will be up against the wall, under some lights. So I don't know. We still got to figure that stuff out, but I've been spending weeks, probably 3+ weeks, moving things multiple times into different rooms and here and there. So right now, this is where I'm at. This is what I think is going to be the best layout. And yeah, I guess that's about it for the tour of the new spaces. Alrighty guys, so on that note, I think that's pretty much everything that I wanted to say in this video. Now going forward, like I said, I do have a couple of other projects that I want to get done in this garage as well as the other room. And whether or not I film those, I'm not 100% sure. But one thing I know that I will be filming is going to be the LED light strips, because I found those on Amazon. They're extremely cheap. I think they're perfect amount of light as well as color of light. So I will be doing a video on those once I get the rest of the couple of little hardware miscellaneous pieces here and there in, and I start installing those hopefully within the next few days. Now, a couple of things that I don't know if I'm going to be filming is going to be the demoing of this back wall in front of me, as well as the side wall over here, and repaneling that. That's going to be something that's either going to go super smooth and super great, and I'll think about filming, or it's going to be something that's going to just be a pain in the butt because all the drywall is going to crumble, the wood's going to split and stuff like that. And whether or not I want to just bang it out nice and quick, or try and kind of make it take longer than it needs to try and film a video, I'm not 100% sure yet. As well as painting these walls. I hate painting, but I also hate this yellow. So whether or not I film us painting it, I hire somebody to paint it, or I just bang it out and don't make a video, I'm not 100% sure yet. So those three things, like I said, only one of them is going to be a 100% guaranteed video. Maybe if you guys do care enough to see the paneling as well as the painting, maybe we'll do that. Or maybe we'll just put the paneling and the painting in one video. I have no idea. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. Not really sure what's next. But yeah, that's where we're going to end it here. Peace out. I'll catch you guys on the next one.